That's very even.
Yeah.
And I like it. And
Yeah.
I'm also intrigued as to why they picked Supremacy over sno0ken when it was sno0ken who got the edge last time.
I think it's probably because Supremacy has been, you know, again, they've been very aggressive in their play style throughout this season, and I think it instills a lot of confidence to see a team who is in themselves so confident in the viewer base, so that you're going to see that and you're going to be like, oh, they know what they're up to, and they know what their identity is, and they really stick to it. And of course, also they're going to be getting the entire French community vote because they stick together.
Of course.
Yeah, I think it is just that like level of confidence that Supremacy has been showing throughout this season that is going to instill a lot of confidence in the community as a whole.
Could also be the fact that sno0ken knows was a bit underwhelming last week during Super Week 2, and that could shake some people's confidence. But we can guess all we want. Let's actually dive right in here. And a Pulse, a Castle, and a Valkyrie will pop out on defense. They will opt to go downstairs into ventilation. Not out of the ordinary to see a Castle get run in this point. Now, already we have seen a lot less Echo than we did see in both North America and, to a lesser extent, Latin America. I think it was the Echo show on Monday for sure. And Europe doesn't really play an Echo as much. They do rely on that smoke an awful lot, which is not an unwise choice, especially on this bomb site. I wouldn't be too surprised to see a strong, heavy upstairs gameplay because, as we've said many a time, you live and die on this particular bomb site by being able to control that second floor, and you lose it, and it doesn't really put you in a good position to potentially be able to defend from the bottom floor. Though we have seen some teams be able to collapse, as I trip on my words there, quite admirable.
No stress. Starting out this round, you can see that Supremacy going to be setting themselves up to take that east stairs. This is a very common execution that we've... Oh, wow. Destruction of one zone drone. It seemed maybe accidentally through the floor or wall there. But either way, Supremacy have taken this top floor control. They now have a position to attack upstairs. Interestingly, there aren't many roamers from sno0s. In fact, there are 0 roamers on the top floor, which is strange for sure.
Very.
Like you said, it's completely counter to what we are used to seeing, as it's typically considered to be the most important thing is to maintain that armory control no matter where you're defending, really. But you can see sno0s relying on horizontal control, extending all the way out into customs and C4 from below.
I mean, they're gonna put a lot of effort into fleshing out this upstairs, and I don't know if Supremacy at this point is aware that they really are not being contested whatsoever. But if sno0ken plays its cards right, it can make it very difficult for them to be able to gain control and access to that site. And this might be the very first time, speaking of what we're counter to see, which is what you said, this might be one of the first times that we are not seeing a really roam-heavy game at all. This is a very aggressive site play, and they're going to finally be able to put some pressure now here as Bibu upstairs tearing away at that floor and secretly sitting right beneath.
So this is great to see from Supremacy applying this pressure to the bathroom. It will actually not be in their favor, as secretly gets an unexpected kill, I think, from many of us here, through the floor up at Bibu, who is looking straight down on him. That's an unfortunate set of circumstances, but Alems will get the refrag, evening things out and establishing that bathroom control early on for Supremacy. Actually, not early on, as I say. It's 1 minute left in this round. This is taking them an extremely long amount of time to actually establish the control they need here, and they don't really have anything else to work with. They're kind of coming up a wall here that sno0ken has put up as they just now break open that castle barricade in the main hallway.
And they took down the smoke on what was a bit of a hesitation from Bibu, and you could see that he didn't know if it was a foot or if it was just general debris or not. That's one of the follies of having that client-side debris on Buck. But we hit the final 30 seconds, and you still have 8 operators up right now. And you see sno0ken playing a strong and aggressive site play. They're going to keep the pulse of Meepy. Goes down to the Blackbeard of Spark, and now Ellens jumps in as well, taking off sno0ken. The team, of course, named off of him. Lackey gets a refrag onto Ellem. You can see that Zephyr as well is going to get pressured from Renewals, who takes him down, but a refrag from Spark. A 2v1 in favor right now of Supremacy. It's just Lackey to hold down the fort. Diffuser being planted in sight. And Spark will now watch for the Ella of Lackey to rotate in, but goes through an area that right now they do not have covered. You can see Raphael will hop over and just sees him. And what a shot from Lackey, but he won't see Spark. Spark returns fire and wins by peeking around that corner. A bit of a back and forth there, but the Blackbeard gets the final kill and Supremacy grabs round 1.
So, Supremacy choosing to wisely invest specifically in just the bathroom take once they came down to the fact that, okay, their sno0ken knows is controlling customs, well, let's not bother with that. Let's apply all of our attention and focus straight in through that bathroom so we don't lose too many players in the grind. And when the actual collapse came from Supremacy, sno0ken knows did not have enough real presence inside the bomb site, being so spread out that they couldn't win and trade back enough. I really like the attempt there from sno0ken knows, though. I like the way they were trying to set themselves up. It's a little bit different than normal, like we talked about, not applying that attention upstairs. But it was just good reading from Supremacy to catch that. Be like, oh, well, they're not putting attention upstairs, then we don't need to do that either. Now, as you can see, Supremacy going to be going into the customs, and this is, I think, been a lot more popularized as of late. Of course, we saw from Penta, I believe, at the last season's finals, who were the ones who made this really a big deal. Where people realize, oh yeah, because in the past, before Mira was added to the game, the reason this was not so defensible is because the only way to actually hold it was from CCTV. And before Mira, holding CCTV as a defensive team was super frustrating. And now that she's been added into the game, you got that mirror window facing eastwards, that can cover a lot. And if you just maintain that exact mirror window that you just see it being placed up there by LMs, then it's really not that difficult to hold this. So that makes holding customs below much, much easier.
Just to touch on how operators can change this sort of thing, one of the benefits of constantly having operators come in, and we're only a couple months out from the next wave of operators joining us from South Korea, and then having the one Polish operator.
Talk about excited.
I'm super stoked. I really like what's been added so far with the three, but I mean, even take a look at Ying, take a look at Mira, and take a look at Hibana. How all three of those operators have had completely fundamental change, or have allowed for completely fundamental changes in which sites are and aren't viable.
Absolutely.
And that is probably the best part, because it's always shaking things up and making teams have to adapt. Now, with this Mira hold, we've seen a fair bit of customs as of late, and it always seems to get held roughly the same way.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same exact setup. It's the mirror window inside CCTV, the holes above the, I believe, the A bomb site, and then there's the control over Armory as well. That's paramount because you have to have the window that faces the west balcony inside of Armory so that you can keep control of that CCTV again. That you see LMs playing on right now. That's the second mirror window. All of these different things add up to holding that specific room, thus holding the bomb site below. That's really all it is. And here you can see that sno0ken, they're trying to get a way to actually address the CCTV hold. They're kind of encroaching on it from every single different angle. And this is a very interesting way to handle it. I like that they're not over zealous with their attack. They're not trying to force this too hard, because that has often been the downturn of every team who attacks into CCTV, is trying to get too aggressive. And as I say that, Renewal's vaulting in with no apparent control as Lackey gets the 2 refrags on the Zephyr and Spark. The mirror window facing east was not covering the south door at just the worst moment, and that Renewal's bait was very well timed. Good communication for sno0ken, and now a 4-on-3 with only a couple roamers inside of the Armory to maintain control of the top floor.
Just robbing them of the advantage that Mira gave, and it's like we've said it so many times, and it bears repeating. Those mirror windows give it, those mirror windows take it away. Elam getting a kill that he absolutely should not have got about Meepy before secretly is able to get the redemption on him and put us at a 2v3 favoring sno0ken knows. In 40 seconds, a good hold, but now you've got your players still on site. You can see Raphael waiting there. Oh, a nice shot on the Lackey. What is with these shots they are making? And we'll see some toxic babes go off as well. And Bibu just playing shortly off site. Final 20 seconds. One hit for Raphael.
So while there's a 2v2 and one of the last defenders is very lit, Supremacy's in a great position as Bibu's going to get the first kill here of this 2v2 onto Secretly. Now it's all sno0ken. He has to work on this crossfire with only 10 seconds. This is daunting, to say the least. As he starts the defuse plant, yeah, that's it. That's all she wrote. Raphael gonna walk on into the bomb site and finish things off. An excellent round there for Supremacy. Great defense. I am really surprised, though. It came down to a lot of amazing shots being hit that really should not have been, like you said. And because the communication from sno0ken knows was on point. They were collapsing at the perfect times. Secretly there was always somebody there to refrag when they were actually addressing each and every defensive position for Supremacy upstairs. So great communication, great coordination from sno0ken, just not enough on that collapse itself.
No, I specifically referenced that Mira kill that was taken on Thermite after getting pressured from 2 separate members, and then, of course, the smoke play, too, of Raphael underneath. Those are 2 shots that right there just saved your team from certain death on this round, and now Supremacy is out to a 2-0 lead, and you take a look at the scores. Supremacy doing a great job with an even spread, and sno0ken still has some slow starters, but they will assuredly pick it up. If not, it will continue to go in favor of Supremacy. We are going to see another ventilation hold from sno0ken as well. Will they divide their numbers between the upstairs and downstairs, or are we going to see them hole up down on the first floor of Border? That is going to be the thing to look out for, because I felt like Supremacy was very good. And one of the things, too, is speaking about aggression, is it could be that sno0ken doesn't have faith in that roam game, knowing that they will get hunted down, so it's best to just waste that time and collapse on site.
Well, they technically have the roam game, right? They are roaming. It's just all horizontal. It's not like real, fundamental. Typically speaking, when we're referencing roam game, it's discussing the roam above the bomb site. Now, arguably, that's not even considered a roam, but it's really a big debate on that topic.
Or far away from the site.
Right, because you're just above it. But in this particular instance, when we reference the roam game, we're talking about above. And there is not a lot of pressure coming above from sno0ken. Obviously, again, they are completely allowing Supremacy to take that vertical control upstairs. But they're still maintaining control horizontally. They are extending over into customs. They're trying to draw a line in the sand below to maintain some semblance of control despite not doing anything above. And that really comes down to, I think, their idea, the reason they do that is to retake the bomb site. So if they lose all of their anchors inside, they can retake from over in customs instead of having to worry about holding someone upstairs to only later then have them fall down. That's a bit of a risk, and there's no retake potential there because you're falling back into the site.
And exactly the same way that it's playing out, except Secretly is going to rotate from the bathroom up towards bomb site A. You can see that basically this is exactly what Supremacy did round number 1, except now they're doing it faster because they know that they really don't need to worry about what lurks in the shadows above. They picked away at that one Valk camera, which was, of course, up there to try to give some more intel to the defenders. They still have 2 left. There are, of course, those castle barricades, which slowed them down a touch before. We've hit the halfway mark, though, and there's been no real action between the 2 teams just yet.
This is the same thing that happened last time Supremacy attacked onto this bomb site. They took very slowly. The one difference is they're putting a lot more emphasis upstairs, and as a result, BB will be taken out by a C4 this time instead of the smoke. And now it's looking much better for sno0ken on this ventilation hold. As Lem starts to melee that window, he's going to have to deal with sno0ken immediately. He might not get away with this. Oh, he will, though. A nice opening there for... Oh, wow. Some renewals actually rotating up late into the top floor. Going to challenge on a Spark. Does hit a couple shots onto that shield, but unfortunately, it's a shield. And Spark will walk away with half HP. Renewals definitely coming out on top in that engagement, though. And this is interesting. The late roam to the top floor. Not what I expected to see from sno0ken.
Clock will tick down in the final moments of round number 3 as finally Supremacy gets its pressure on site. And this speaks to the aggressive site play. It might be a little bit off-site play, but it allows them, at least sno0ken to be able to get back on quickly. Renewals and Spark still wasting time upstairs. And Spark takes some significant damage, isn't really sustaining any shots onto that rifle shield. And Raphael waiting to push in as that smoke lingers in the air, secretly positioned himself to be able to try and take out anybody who pushes in. Ellems gets the lead-off kill onto sno0ken and gets a second onto Lackey before getting shot from behind. Zephyr now is going to take out Meepy, and you can see Spark rushes in as Renewals gets a kill and secretly adds to that as well. 2v2, and Raphael a great shot from above, and the defenders will win, giving sno0ken their very first round on Border.
So that Renewals roam upstairs was it. That's the only reason they won that round, and because the Blackbeard was incapable of eliminating the Valkyrie upstairs. That's the bottom line. There is a little bit more that, of course, ties into it. You know, the fact that Supremacy wasted so much time taking from the bathroom and the tellers. Yeah, they were very much stalled out. And that's the same thing that happened last time. The one difference, of course, was that they were able to deal with the player inside a bathroom much quicker. In this instance, sno0ken did not play anyone inside the bathroom for any prolonged period of time. They fell back entirely into the bomb site, and they had that smoke still alive to stall out the main push through the bomb site wall. So all of these factors, basically just sno0ken getting a lot more passive, resulted in Supremacy not having the early picks that they really wanted, and they could only start making their push in the last 20 seconds, where they started getting a bunch of kills, ultimately, though, not enough.
Secretly, too, staying alive was a very important factor as well. Instead of having your smoke go first with over a minute left, what he did was he rotated to safety and then could toss those toxic bags out and make it so that they had to push through another entrance. Now, you saw that Supremacy, when doing so, did get 2 very quick frags, but sno0ken was waiting. And were able to capitalize on that and get 2 kills themselves while Renewals was still upstairs, wasting Spark's time. Ultimately, that ended up being a significant difference, as you touched on. Absolutely correct. And now the game is a lot closer than it was. We see that it might be, it might go back to being as even as we thought. As rounds number 1 and 2, sno0ken did not look the way they looked. What, 3 weeks ago? 3 weeks ago?
Yeah, no, Supremacy definitely looking pretty confident right now. And again, this is the confidence that we've been seeing from them, especially in this later end of the season. They have been just very aggressive and well coordinated. And they're showing exactly that right now. But as you can see, sno0ken looking to collapse on this Spark, playing inside of Customs. He's in a very dangerous position right now, just waiting patiently. You've got somebody coming from Passport in Lackey, as well as 2 people coming in from Box. And it's going to be the first one for Box. Meepy eliminated by Spark. Nice roam game there, and he will make it back safely because Zephyr is still alive at the bottom of these stairs, putting pressure onto Lackey. You could see the plan there from sno0ken trying to collapse and pinch that one player, but that because they failed to take E-stairs control first, they really couldn't establish that collapse.
You saw there as well, that was Diffuser down, so now secretly we'll have to rotate in to grab it. Last thing you want is to be put in a position where with 20 seconds left, you have to go half of the world away to pick that Diffuser up. You've seen teams lose rounds quite handily for that specific reason. And now, the 5v4, Supremacy is in a good position, and sno0ken has done some heavy rotates here now as well. So I'm assuming the push that they were looking to take into Customs has fallen apart because they have lost their Thermite. Of course, that is a huge operator off of the board.
That's basically like the whole strat done.
And now they have to try to adapt. And of course, mid-round adaptations are always possible, but you can see that it looks like finally Secretly is going to get that Bandit charge and they can push on that Armory wall.
You could see them calculating the risk there. As Supremacy, unlike sno0ken, invests heavily in their vertical game. They still have 2 roamers downstairs, and with only 56 seconds now, they're finally getting the main wall open in the A bomb site, but they have to worry about people from below. Secretly going to push in and deal with Bunker from below. Gonna get hit by the Ela. Will Ela capitalize? No, Bibu gonna play it smart and safe. It's probably the right call as we see Secretly starting to look for Ela. He's going to oversee. Oh, he didn't see Bibu. He doesn't know that Bibu's playing a close position here, and Bibu will catch him off guard. A nice play there from Bibu, playing it smart. And now as the push comes in, there's a mirror window to deal with, and Alems with the first frag, with the refrags coming from Renewals and Lackey. Renewals with another one, pushing all the way into the B bomb site. And now it's a 2v2. It was looking really bad for sno0ken, but they might. No! Bibu eliminates Renewals. Lackey, the last one alive. 8 seconds to go, planting the diffuser. 1 HP. Spark from below finishes things off. What a quick round there at the end. Spark really putting in a lot of work coming from below. What the heck? Must have been a call from
there was a
mark.
Ping.
Yeah,
there was a ping.
Definitely a ping.
There was a nice red mark there for Spark to see.
Yeah, we didn't see the red mark, obviously, but he had a red mark. 100%. Either way, great collapse from sno0ken. Not enough time. Too much detriment to their team over the earlier round, losing that Thermite, making them mix up their plans. And as a result, also, the most important thing, they didn't have that mirror window inside a small office dealt with. Now, they did manage to handle it leading into the round, eliminating the player on the mirror window after he only got 1 kill. That was Alems, I believe. But all the same, it's not enough pressure really being applied to the site. And once the retake started coming from Supremacy, that's all she wrote.
A really good attempt, especially when you lose your Thermite. Now, it forced them to go from what looked like might have been up the stairs to an office take to having to attack the Armory wall, and do so with a Hibana is a lot bigger of a challenge. So it's one of those things where you're down not only a man, but you're also down probably the strongest operator in terms of utility on your team to really be able to give your team the ability to push in unabated with the destruction of one of those exothermic charges. You lost it, have to get the diffuser, you burn some time off the clock, and then you start your push. They did well with Hibana. I honestly thought that when the smoke of, I believe it was Zephyr, went to peek around the corner to throw that toxic babe out and got torn to pieces. I thought that was spelling the end of Supremacy, but a good rally, especially from Bibu, to play it smartly. And we saw the patience there. A lot of people will use an Ela very aggressively, up in your face, constantly roaming. Bibu just hung out and waited and capitalized very well. And those 2 kills from him might not have topped his team's scoreboard, but extremely important.
Now you can see Supremacy just taking it slow. They have been much more passive than we've seen them in the past in this match. I think they're taking it a little bit more seriously. But I can't say that's been working out great for them. Wonder what's going on here with Bibu. He's looking for Lackey from below. Will find him, do a lot of damage to that 3-speed now on essentially 1 HP. Any single bullet will take him down. As the push comes, they won't be conscious of that necessarily. They'll likely think that they've damaged him, but he is extremely lit up nonetheless. But yeah, some serious patience here from Supremacy. A lot more coordination than I'm used to seeing in the earlier stages of the game, and a lot less aggression.
Yeah, this does not look like the same team that we've seen for the first 2 weeks. They've looked a lot sharper, and right now it's tough to change or revamp your play style in such a fundamental way, and I think that Supremacy right now is showing that they've learned from their mistakes so far in the first 2 weeks and are using what they learned to their advantage as they get the leadoff kill now, and Meepy goes down.
Interesting.
And Meepy has been the first to die a couple rounds now as well.
That was a run out from CCTV South Door. I'm not sure why exactly he made that run out, what the plan was there. And you could tell that Supremacy really licking their chops at the prospect of said runouts, as they're waiting on every angle now. They're just waiting for sno0ken to give them those opportunities.
Their drone work as well has been exceptional.
Absolutely.
And that's one thing I've noticed too is how well they are coordinating using that. You said that coordination and patience was the key to this round. Absolutely. Now we'll finally see this wall get blown from Raphael.
I like this mirror window, this A-wall setup from sno0ken. This, it's just like, well, they're going to get the wall open anyway. We may as well open it for them. That way we can use this mirror window to play against them. As the flashbangs come out, though, Raphael's likely to see a push in just a couple seconds. Or no, just going to go straight for that defuse plant. Perfectly placed smokes and flashbangs will result in not enough knowledge for sno0ken, but they're going to get the kill anyway, stopping the defuse plant. Raphael going down before Bibu getting the refrag onto Lackey. Alem's another onto Renewals, and sno0ken getting downed on the mirror window. It's all down to Secretly in a 1v4, and he will be finished off. A very succinct round there from Supremacy. While they're playing cautiously in the early round each time, when they actually inevitably get to the push, it's just so well coordinated. You could see the pressure coming in from the back end over towards offices in the main hallway, which we obviously couldn't see. It was perfectly timed with that primary push in through A wall. And Supremacy, interestingly, don't need to stack everyone up on A wall, which is just counter to what we saw, for example, sno0ken do last time they tried to attack onto that bomb site.
Right, and I think another really important note there was the C4 of the Mira that got tossed out was stopped by the glass of Zephyr, and when that happened, that C4 could have potentially been enough to repel the attackers at that armory wall. So it's one of those things where, yes, you were able to get it down but not out, but more importantly, it was crucial for you to do that, because the alternative was that the Mira gets the C4 off. It gets at least one of the attacking operators who is within that blast radius, and now your push is going to be completely different. A great hold from Supremacy, and we move to match point on round number 6. I did not think going in that we would be this quickly approaching the end of Border. Now, of course, comeback is always possible, but it is exceptionally difficult for them to be able to do that, especially with some of the plays that we've seen of Supremacy on defense.
Another thing I'd like to talk about is the utility placement from Supremacy on that last round. Not only have they been coordinating very well, but they clearly have a very well-established plan for each take. So those smokes and flashbangs that we saw that were ultimately didn't actually cause them to win that round, but the smokes and flashbangs that they placed going into that A-wall attack were perfectly positioned. There was one to cover the entirety of bunker as well as lockers, which was really nice, and there was another just to obstruct the actual mirror window in small office to allow for the defuse plant to happen right inside the door. Now, obviously that was thwarted by sno0ken, but at the same time it was just really well coordinated.
We see some teams will do a double reinforcement there and then have to try to bait out a Hibana to blow that mirror window up, but we saw that they played it very well, sno0ken, by keeping that second wall unreinforced, a soft wall, and they used it to their advantage. It was a great play from the Mira onto the Thermite in order to get that diffuser down, ultimately all for naught. And now sno0ken is on the brink of losing round number 1. And we'll see if Supremacy's defense has been as formidable as it has been so far this game. Spark plays aggressively upstairs, and I like Spark number 1 has only been playing Navy SEAL operators. I don't know if you've noticed that. Rotating between the Blackbeard. Leadoff kill goes to the defense. Bibu gets one onto Secretly. You can see that sno0ken sustains some damage as well. They have not been able to flush out the defenders upstairs in Archives and as well as Fountain.
Of course, the thing we haven't talked about here is they are, of course, defending the Teller's bathroom, which is a very odd sight to see. This might be, from in a lot of other instances, this has been considered complete throwing from teams if they go to this bomb site. And being up 4-1, this is usually what we'll see. Is like, okay, we have the advantage, let's go somewhere weird. Hopefully, for Supremacy's sake, that won't be the end of them. Of course, they are in the man advantage right now, and they only have a minute left to defend, so it could work out for them.
Supremacy, too, has been playing a very top-heavy game in the sense that they have almost been exclusively defending from the second floor. Their site presence when defending downstairs, not particularly strong, as Bibu grabs another kill, now on to Meepy. So a good play right now from the castle of Supremacy, as he has 2 on this round, and we approach the final 45 in what could be match point. You see sno0ken goes down, Lackey goes down now as well. Renewals is the last one up, but you've got to think this is all she wrote, as it is 1v4. The IQ needs to take out all of the defenders still remaining, and Renewals is going to sustain some damage from Elms, and that Vector finishes him off. Supremacy, an impressive and formidable 5-1. Did not see that ending as soon as it did.
I mean, of course, it's Supremacy's pick, and they do have a 100% win rate here, but geez.
Geez is correct.
That was so well coordinated, it's actually kind of ridiculous. The excellent play from Supremacy allowing them to just walk away with that win. Going on to Skyscraper, you have to imagine that sno0ken has got to be shaking in their boots a little bit there. They tried to see, because the thing is, sno0ken's coordination in that map was also very, very good. I mean, they were doing a lot of things right. You can't really... They made a couple mistakes here and there, but for the most part, their play was pretty standard, and it made sense. It was logical. It was just Supremacy seemed to be on a different level. They were playing very well on that particular map. The question then becomes is, how's it going to go on Skyscraper? But let's take a look at the highlights before we get to Skyscraper, which will be our second map of this best of 3. Of course, that is sno0ken's pick. But yeah, just an incredible map from both teams, to be honest. And while it was 5-1, it was still hard fought for Supremacy. sno0ken put up a lot of resistance.
I've got to think with the amount of kills that Supremacy was able to get through the floor, down onto the main floor, it was a mistake for sno0ken to not play upstairs the way they needed to not just waste time, but also deny them that ability to tear apart at the floor. That's
the thing is, like, while we saw rounds like that one we just saw highlighted just now, for sno0ken we're pushing so well together onto their one objective, they weren't pushing on any other level than the one where the bomb site is. So if it's on the bottom floor, they're pushing into the bottom floor. If it's on the top floor, they're pushing into the top floor, and they're not deviating from that at all. So on defense or attack, they played on one floor. And the only instance in which there was a variation there, it was when they tried to attack through the A wall into Armory, and they put a little pressure on through the front door and in the back of bunker, but that's barely even entering the building on the bottom floor. They were clearly afraid of the roam game from Supremacy, and instead of appointing people to clear said roam game, they simply avoided it as much as possible. You have to question that decision-making process there, but we're going to jump right into the second map. It is going to be Skyscraper, and hopefully sno0ken has something great to show us on this map to bring it to that third.
100% win ratio for sno0ken as we dive into map number 2 between them, and Supremacy showing that picking the maps that you like and the maps you do well on is so successful, and now sno0ken is going to have to prove that they can do it as well. If not, then Supremacy punches their ticket into the playoffs.
Loading in here now, Supremacy on defense, sno0ken on attack. Barbecue Kitchen going to be the first defense here. That is sensible. We have been seeing a lot more Barbecue Kitchen defense from teams as of late on Skyscraper, which is much more prominent this season than as opposed to previous seasons. Skyscraper has always been kind of ushered to the back of the room, but that's been seeing a lot of changes. Now, the interesting thing here for me is that sno0ken on Skyscraper has always been better on defense, and this is going to be the pace set in this first round, given that it was a 5-1 we're just leading off of on the previous map. So if sno0ken is unable to really establish themselves here now on this round, they have got to be feeling, leading into even going into their preferred defensive side, they've got to be feeling a little bit on edge, and that is not obviously what we want to see, given personally I want to see Coastline played. I really want to see Coastline played, because everything goes out the window on Coastline. I have no idea what would be happening there, and I really want to know well, I want to see it.
If map number 1 is any indication, sno0ken forfeiting the top floor of Coastline is a tremendous mistake, and that would be something to watch too and see, is this a strategy they have for all maps?
And yeah, it would be the same on Skyscraper.
And exactly. And Skyscraper, you can see right now, Supremacy has already taken 2 Karaoke in Tea Room, and as well as Geisha, which Geisha, of course, being integral to a hold in Kitchen and Barbecue. And I like that we are seeing new changes here. I mean, we saw every single site defended on border just now. And we can see, I'm sure that we're going to see at least 3 of the 4 on Skyscraper. And, you know, it used to always be a battle of back and forth. Who can defend upstairs the best? Who can defend that Karaoke Tea Room the most? And now it has changed.
We have seen from a couple different teams, I think it was Rogue last time they played on Skyscraper, they, instead of pressuring Geisha, simply went in through delivery and planted inside a kitchen, thinking, well, they have control of Geisha, but we can just shoot up.
Right.
And that might be something employed by one of these 2 teams here, but it's doubtful. I feel like sno0ken and Supremacy are much more evenly matched than that matchup was. And as a result, I think that vertical control is really going to be something that a lot of emphasis is placed upon.
And a lot of IQ play as well. I've noticed that
that's sensible.
sno0ken has been playing a fair bit, largely because I think a Valkyrie has factored into every single Supremacy defense thus far. I don't think they've run around without her. And, you know, Valkyrie and Pulse are so strong in information gathering, of course, what Amira brings to the table as well.
Yeah, they don't have Pulse here, but...
wow, already in and planting that diffuser. I think they just let them walk right in, and a C4 will go off, but misses. Elms knows, but a great fire here now as sno0ken and Lackey get kills. Bibu joins the fun from Supremacy to give us a 3v1, and now Raphael will run out, take Renewals down, as secretly refrags onto Bibu. It's up to Supremacy to retake that site. 3 attackers up, 2 defenders left. Supremacy right now down 1 in terms of members. sno0ken and Zephyr will see each other, and the Jaeger is going to be able to take that one and give us a tie in terms of operators before Raphael jumps up and secretly gets that kill. Zephyr does still have 2 to go. Both Meepy and Secretly are left. Can the Jaeger be able to take them out for the clutch? Zephyr running out of time, though, will peek into the room. An easy cleanup from Meepy, and sno0ken already looking better on Skyscraper than they did on Border.
Absolutely, but you have to admit that was due to a complete oversight from Supremacy, not covering Barbecue at all, allowing for a simple vault in and plant strategy, which was just sno0ken reading the setup and going, hey, they don't have anyone in Barbecue right now. Let's just do it. Let's do it. And there was nothing from Supremacy to cover that. Nothing at all. We talked about this before in, I believe it was the Elevate matchup versus Most Wanted. I want to say it was on this map. It was on Skyscraper.
It was Rogue.
And was it Rogue? Okay.
And Rogue just literally jumped in the window and planted.
Well, no, I'm thinking about something else. And it's actually I know it was Elevate because it was Elevate versus whatever the case be. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about how there's no control being established inside of the Karaoke, and if there is control being established, it's anyone playing in there on defense is so easily pinched off from the attacking team. And that's why you saw Supremacy not really applying that preference. While they like to preference top vertical control, they don't really favor doing it in places where they're too exposed. And they don't want to take control of the entire top floor on this western side. And then the question then becomes, well, how do you hold the A bomb site? You have to play inside of A or open the A wall, and they just didn't do that. So just a complete oversight from Supremacy, unfortunately.
What I was going to reference was we saw it against Most Wanted as well in Karaoke when they were playing against Rogue, and they noticed that the only person that was playing inside of Karaoke was Trippin. They leapt over the window, killed him, and then immediately had a plant. And they had a plant down in something like 40 seconds or 50 seconds. It was absurd, and I don't know what it is with Most Wanted and Skyscraper, but apparently 2 separate examples. And a mischaracteristically poor play from a team that has been so on top of things in terms of knowing their drone count, knowing their operator positions in Supremacy so far this round. And now they will be given a chance to redeem themselves on attack, as sno0ken takes round number 1.
Supremacy going to open up this wall into kitchen. Pretty standard play there. Interesting that the Bandit's not playing aggressively on that kitchen wall, given there's no actual pressure being applied to deny that Bandit trick from the attacking team. But it will be completely forfeited by sno0ken. Instead, they are favoring this top floor, so completely opposed to what we saw on border. They actually want to have a good amount of vertical control. Lackey going to be pushed out of this position by the Hibana charges, but he has somewhere to fall back to. Of course, he's going to be behind a unreinforced wall here, and Bibu will definitely be shooting through it in a moment. Fortunately, misses his shot. Still, though, so much pressure being applied to Lackey from that B window, from the B wall, and he will finally go down to the repelling Zephyr.
Managed to take some of his life away in the process, though, but he was definitely a man under fire.
Bomb located by attackers.
There's still plenty of vertical control, though, from sno0ken. There's not really much that Supremacy has to work with here. As you can see, the A walls have been opened up in this instance, and it would be very difficult to simply walk in and plant. So Supremacy is going to actually have to work through the layers of defense in order to establish enough control to make a push happen. They're not really entirely focused on any one particular angle at this moment, simply looking for any opportunity sno0ken will afford them.
Some good intel work there, but Meepy's able to grab Raphael, and that is Diffuser down now, so we will be at an even 4v4. And another added from sno0ken as Zephyr falls. That's their Jaeger down, or sorry, that's their Thatcher down rather. And now Spark takes down sno0ken. That's the Mira. So this is just constant back and forth. A great flick shot from Elms onto Secretly. And I'm very curious to see what this Ela is going to do from above. Final 30 seconds. Hold up inside a drum. Has that ability to see through the floor and prevent a plant if somebody pushes in that way. But she's getting pinged and will need to move at some point. Under pressure from Elms from below. They're going to need to grab that diffuser and start a plant unless they just want to play deathmatch. You see that the Ela drops, and a big misplay as Renewals hits the ground. Elms gets taken out by Meepy, and he's just going to wait. But the diffuser is going down. Hit by an Ela mine, and a run out from Meepy. Will he be able to get it? He leaps through the window, and what a shot on Bibu! And sno0ken knows, because of the smoke rotation, is able to prevent that plant. And they're up 2-0.
Great play there from Meepy, seeing that he had to force his way into the bomb site to deny that plan on that 0-0-0 time, and very successfully pulling that off. And another thing, too, is he saw the Hibana, and he wanted to make 100% sure that that was the one planting the diffuser because he was only going to get one shot with that shotgun. Didn't want to risk it at all. Good play there. But the round overall doesn't come down to an excellent play from Meepy. It comes down to Supremacy playing way too slow on their take into the barbecue. They tried to address every single angle. They came from delivery. They came up towards Geisha. They addressed even karaoke for a time. They were pushing in from the bottom north stairs window. They were pushing in from the barbecue window. They had so much pressure applied at every different angle that they were spread out. They were stretched thin, and unfortunately, they couldn't do the same sort of coordination and concise pushes that we've seen from them in the past on border. And it was mostly the wasting of the time, too.
They wasted a lot of time.
The plant shouldn't have come down to a 0-0-0. It should have been like 20, 30 seconds earlier in the round. Then Meepy would have gotten the first kill, but he might have been refragged by the sledge, you know. Got to give yourself that opportunity. Supremacy has been very aggressive like we've seen from them in the past, but they've been so calculated. Every single one of their attack rounds is super slow.
But they also had to... Supremacy also had to go grab the diffuser as well, which slowed them down. And you could see that with 10 seconds left, it was still on the ground. That's going to kill some time right there. And not as the Ela itself was not as effective as I thought she was going to be. Just dropped and like immediately proned and just got torn apart by the
hard angle to get off of. When you're up in drum and you know that, okay, I can't use the main stairs, I have to drop, and they know I'm going to drop, it's not easy to win that fight, to be honest, because you're so exposed. As soon as you vault up onto the drop down, you're going to be in a situation where you're like, oh yeah, they can get me easily. And speaking of getting somebody easily, Zephyr going to go down inside of delivery from Renewals, but it wasn't just him, it was a team effort there from sno0ken, collapsing on him very aggressively. We've seen this from sno0ken a lot so far. Nice shot from Spark, unfortunately. Not going to kill the Ash for him. but gonna do a little bit of damage.
Lackey and Secretly coordinated very well to make sure that Zephyr had no exit strategy whatsoever.
Cutting off the delivery and then also pushing in through the main east lobby.
And now they might do the same on Spark as well, getting droned from both the Twitch drone as well as Meepy's drone. And Spark will have to run for their life as well. Wasting a lot of time, though. Doing a good job of slowing down. They haven't been able to really get any major control near the sites just yet. You can see that most of sno0ken is still downstairs, clearing out this below-floor roam game. And they've managed to pin down Spark, who'll try to create a rotation hole, but is essentially trapped. It's just waiting and see how well they'll be able to fight back, like a caged animal almost. How well you'll be able to fight back as they collapse in on you.
Yeah, sno0ken obviously setting themselves up to take from below, which is kind of interesting. I mean, this is the first time we've seen upstairs defended so far, but a lot of emphasis placed downstairs still. Biba gonna get a kill onto Lackey as Lackey pushes in aggressively. Maybe another no, misses the shot. Secretly gonna drop down in the middle of the reload, get his own kill. An excellent refrag there, well timed. And you can see this collapse from Supremacy coming. Oh no, from sno0ken coming onto Spark, the last defender downstairs. It's all down to Lems and Raphael, the top floor. 45 seconds, plenty of time.
You've got 2 defenders left. They're your anchors on site. You have to make your push happen. And I like how long it took Supremacy to get sno0ken to commit to these fights.
Right.
And now sno0ken has to not scramble because they do definitely have a numbers advantage, but I'm going to say that Supremacy is in a very good position to hold right now despite a numbers disadvantage. The biggest issue right now is that there is nobody inside of A. You can see that they have basically given complete control, and Elm's in a standard spot. You know somebody's going to be holed up in B right there. It's all going to be up to whether the Mirror can get away. Does, but 2 immediate frags from sno0ken will string them out to 3, or rather, they'll push them out to 3 as they string along 3 consecutive rounds. And this is the sno0ken that we saw a couple weeks back, and especially last week in Super Week.
So you can see here very clearly that map preference plays a big part in this matchup specifically, which means I have to wonder when we maybe get to Coastline. There's still plenty of room for Supremacy to come back and put this in a 2-0, but if we maybe get to Coastline, who's going to be more favored on that map? That's the big question, is because we haven't seen much Coastline from anyone in in this season, so it's going to be an interesting match for sure if we get there. On that last round, though, the roam game was, you could argue, successful from Supremacy, given that they wasted it a lot of time. But they invested more heavily in the roam game than anything else. 3 players, and they all got collapsed upon and finished off without getting a single kill. Excuse me, except for Bibu, who was playing by the bar. So, unfortunately, because of that lack of success, any total success or wins in any way, they didn't have anything to work with leading into the actual defense of the bomb sites, and it was really easy for, I mean, a 4v2, come on, forget about it.
I was interested to see what happened because we hadn't seen teams that stall out, but in this case, some major things that I've noted on behalf of sno0ken because I've been focusing on them as how well they've been doing so far. Number 1, Meepy was finding himself out of position and picked off an awful lot on border and wasn't really able to contribute on attack nor defense, whereas now he has 5 frags and 0 deaths. So a completely different story from one of the rocks of the team, and I think that their success is almost directly tied to his own performance. But more importantly is the style of play that sno0ken having. They're taking the fight more to Supremacy, and by playing a stronger and more robust off-site game, it's not allowing Supremacy to be able to operate with the same amount of comfort that they had last time, knowing that they wouldn't be pressured.
I would argue that on border, they did the same thing. They were taking the fight to Supremacy, especially on like that first round that they ended up, well, excuse me, the 3rd round that they ended up winning, where they were where they had excellent collapsing. But on this one, there's just no reciprocation from Supremacy. They're not really being able to tie back in and say, okay, we're going to take the fight to you in response, which was what was happening on border through and through. I think it's just Supremacy not being extremely comfortable on this map, and that's fine. That makes sense, but it's unfortunately putting them in a really bad spot right now. Now, this is interesting. sno0ken, instead of holding inside of Geisha, has simply forfeited it and turned it into a bit of a death box of doom. So while they don't have any control inside of Geisha, they will be pressured, or excuse me, Supremacy will be pressured as they push into Geisha by the mirror windows inside of A. And in fact, just the Geisha hallway. I like that castle barricade.
The feet of Meepy are exposed to a certain extent, and using that drone, they could be able to get a couple shots off and do some damage to the bandit of Meepy. But already now, Supremacy still doing a lot of drone work. They will get the lead-off kill. Bibu takes down Renewals. And what I was going to say was that they haven't really been able to take control of anything inside of Skyscraper just yet. Yes, they've been flushing out the roamers in regards to their location, but not a lot of pressure on them.
I mean, you're seeing them try to apply said pressure this round, so good deviation from the norm here from Supremacy, but they're taking a lot of time about it. They haven't yet cleared out the full roamers, and there's only 55 seconds. This was last round, we saw sno0ken knows they had fully cleared out the roamers with 45 seconds, so they need to start this aggression, and here it is, Lackey being eliminated by Bibu, so that's the roam game dealt with. They're keeping to the same timeline that sno0ken knows had last round. Difference here, though, sno0ken invested 3 upstairs instead of 2. And now they're going to have a great chance at the to continue in this round holding the bomb sites. Supremacy, with only 30 seconds left, doesn't have a lot of time.
No, and they're going to have to try to get on site as the smoke goes down to try and choke them out of one of those points and push them towards another avenue where you know that sno0ken knows will be prepared. They still haven't dealt with the castle barricades either. You can see Elems will manage to evade that explosive radius of sno0ken know's, or sno0ken rather's, nitro cell. Lots of flashes onto the Mira, and a good rotation now from sno0ken, who will pay for his life. Meepy gets a kill on Raphael, and a second on his Ever as Bibu gets his 3rd kill, and a 4th for Bibu. He just has 1 more, but an ace denied by Secretly, as sno0ken knows now is on match point, up 4-0.
The map preference continuing to show here, ladies and gentlemen, as we see the exact opposite of what we saw last map happening in favor of sno0ken knows this time. But 1 round not in the favor of Supremacy, which is the opposite. Or it's the 1 deviation, really. Unless Supremacy could start to pick it up right now and maybe get a comeback on this map, which seems unlikely given how well sno0ken has been playing. So, yeah, that round was basically just the previous round, but with teams switched around. And the one difference was that the Geisha was not defended from sno0ken knows, and they put up a hard wall there, that castle barricade, which stalled up the push from Supremacy into Geisha quite a lot. Also, because there were only 2 roamers downstairs from sno0ken, they had a nice little triangle to work with when they were actually defending the bomb site in the later ends of the round of the push.
One thing that I noticed as well, they used an awful lot of their flashes to try to get sno0ken the Mira that was put inside of T-Room. They couldn't because Meepy, as the bandit, was watching the hallway. So the moment that Elems was going to push up his buck, he would have been caught out by the bandit, as well as the smoke sitting inside of Karaoke. So they used an awful lot to try to get a Mira that they weren't able to do anything with. And they could have potentially spread that out and used that on other operators to help make that push happen faster.
Yeah, and then when they eventually got the bandit, the refrag came from the Mira because they couldn't get the Mira, and then it was just chaos, mass chaos. Or actually, they didn't get the bandit. They pushed him out of obviously, Geisha hallway into the B-bomb site. But once they did that, Mira getting the kills on that push, and then it was not enough to finish off the last 2 players inside of B. Interesting, though, that we didn't see any real emphasis put on the defuse plant because the time was really ticking away, and they had a bomb site control, technically.
They did, and they were trying to work away at Karaoke. Bibu did his best. He ended up getting a 4K. Like, we're overshadowing the fact that that man killed almost everybody, and it really just came down to the smoke.
I mean, look at the scoreboard for Supremacy. Bibu's the only one getting serious kills right now, unfortunately, for their team.
If it wasn't for that 4K, though, he would have had 2 kills, which puts him on pace with all the rest
as
well, which is not great.
That was for 4 rounds in total, and then, like, that last one is just the only one that was even remotely close so far. So again, this is map preference. I mean, this is what we were seeing on Border, but for the opposite team. Ooh, a nice nade from Secretly. Get it down, and he might get the finish here with the secondary nade. Finishing, oh no, not finishing off Elems. Unfortunately, that nade did in fact miss, and Elems is going to be safe as Bibu gets a technical refrag onto sno0ken, and a second, well, sort of a trade onto Meepy with Renewals ready for the refrag.
And they've already got the bomb down, so the diffuser down by the bomb, and are looking to make a plant. This is the same thing we're seeing last time. Supremacy has completely forfeited control as Raphael is able to take out Renewals, and Secretly holding onto that bomb, holding onto the diffuser rather, tries to get one. Secretly finally is able to let Elems bleed out, and now Lackey under fire inside of bomb site A. Zephyr gets Secretly, and it's a 3v1. It's all up to Lackey, and Supremacy looks poised to finally get their first round after 4 continuous losses and avoid sending us to Coastline. Lackey bull rushes in. Zephyr makes easy work of him. Supremacy finally gets on the board, but still 4-1 in favor of sno0ken.
As previously stated, sno0ken has seen, from my eyes, a preference to the defense on Skyscraper, and it stands to reason they would lose on their attack there, given they were kind of just, let's just push into B. And obviously they've done that before. You saw that Supremacy was much more set up to handle that exact situation with the people inside of Kitchen looking towards Barbecue. They could apply easy pressure through the wall and eliminate anybody going for a straight defuse plant. The interesting thing there is that basically SNOs, they repeated the same strat that they did last time.
And I mean, it almost worked. The only difference was that Supremacy had great ability to take back the sites, right? Look at they were inside ready to plant that diffuser with like 30 seconds into the round and came really, really close. And finally, signs of life. Still an enormous job by Bibu carrying his team and shouldering that weight as he has 8 kills on the round.
As this round starts out, much more even scoreline as you could tell from SNOs, but you could tell there also wasn't much deviance in terms of the kills in total for the teams. So while Supremacy are losing these rounds, they are putting up a heck of a fight and getting a lot of frags on their end as well. Now, sno0ken defending into the Barbecue and the Kitchen again is going to be an interesting prospect. Obviously they've been completely successful on their defenses so far. The last time we saw sno0ken going for this bomb site, the defense stalled out the attack, the roam clear from Supremacy on the east side of the building quite a lot, as well as maintain complete control of the Geisha throughout the round, which will force Supremacy to readjust their attack to go towards the A-bomb site, which they clearly did not want to do.
A bomb has been located.
Some more drone work from Supremacy. Like we said, the round result might not show it, but we've still seen excellent coordination and scouting from Supremacy, and it was very strong in border, and it paid dividends. Here, still quite strong, but sno0ken is prepared for it. You said it's map choice. I completely agree, largely because a team is not going to learn how to deal with good intel and good information and resource gathering in one map. So now sno0ken is going to play a little bit tighter and a more aggressive and robust, fully formed roam game. We can see it here. Really, it's going to come down to whether Supremacy is going to be able to take that site sooner rather than later, as they have already exhausted over a minute of play.
Stay back.
As this round plays out, you can see that Supremacy just going for the same thing that they've done in the past, applying pressure in through delivery, trying to get Lackey out of the B bomb site to hopefully later then apply pressure straight into B. Now, this time, SNOs has put somebody inside of deep delivery in a position to shoot those Habanas, and there's not much that Bibu could really do about that, as I believe that is secretly, although I cannot entirely tell, and he can hit bandit trick his own walls.
They've got Lackey sitting on site prepared, and he will need to be the first domino to fall for Supremacy, as Elms misses that frag grenade almost tragically, and misses another as well. It's very bizarre. He cannot actually throw it through there.
They're calling for a rehost now. That did seem like it hit thin air, but we'll see what the admin decision is on that. With 50 seconds left to go, it's 5v5, and they need to start a push either way.
And then we're going to play through, it looks like, even though there is an invisible wall.
It's unfortunate.
It is very unfortunate. And now they're going to try to push in, but if there is a wall there, they can't get in through delivery. And yes, indeed, it does look like there is an invisible wall there. Oh, but no, that was able to get through this time around. So now after a bit of stalling, they're going to try to push. And you can see there the Hibana charges hitting that wall. Meeby's going to get a kill on Bibu. Zephyr is down as well.
17 seconds left, 4v5. They're just waiting it out. It looks like we're going to be calling for a rehost. That's a straight invisible wall. We'll see what the admin decision is. But it would stand to reason that we would see a rehost on that round. It's unreasonable to assume that they would lose a round because they can't throw nades where they need to throw nades.
Right, and that first grenade was inarguably poised to take out Lackey. That was holed up there. That would have given them complete control of Kitchen, minus the upstairs and Geisha, but they did have the Thatcher lined up to take Geisha at the same time. Would have given them site control, and that would have been very important, and it could have conceivably been an easy win for Supremacy on that round. So we'll pause at 4-1. sno0ken doing very well on a map that they've obviously prepared a lot for than Border. What's your main takeaway right now? We've seen so far, with one round being exception, we've seen so far basically an inverse of map number 1. What has sno0ken done so much better than they failed to do on Border?
Well, first of all, they're using vertical control to their advantage. They aren't just forfeiting the top floor, the bottom floor, whichever they aren't defending. Second of all, they have been coordinating much more, apparently. Third of all, Supremacy hasn't. They really haven't. On Border, Supremacy knew seemingly every single little inch iota of their push or their hold. They were really on point and on top of everything they were doing. On Skyscraper, it seemed like they were kind of second-guessing themselves. I mean, even if that push had come, even if they had naded Lackey, there were only 40 seconds when they were starting that push.
Right.
That's not enough to get a complete attack in. There would have been, again, like we've seen 3 rounds, I think. One more person left on sno's defense, either to waste away the time or kill the person planting the diffuser. That has been the primary way that sno's has been winning their defenses. We've seen it with Meepy going outside toward kitchen to barbecue, right? We've seen it Meepy upstairs in the karaoke room as the last one alive with 2 more attackers on top of him. But the problem is, in each and every one of these rounds, it's, oh boy, there's only 0 seconds on the clock. The attack cannot continue. So Supremacy needs to get much more aggressive in the early stages of the round, establish themselves in a position to take the bomb site just faster. That's it. That's all they really need to do. They need to stop wasting as much time.
Right, and the one loss that sno0ken had was when they might have accelerated a bit too much. They all hopped through and they got gunned down so quickly. And a strength also being a weakness is not something that is very foreign to this game. You know, we've complimented how well Supremacy was doing at droning. We complimented how well their coordination was, how they looked like they were playing a bit more of a patient game, more of a, I don't know, a 1,000-yard game rather than directly in front of them. But the downside is exactly what you said. They're taking way too long, and you cannot be in a position where with 20 seconds left, you have to get that diffuser and plant, especially when sno0ken has proved to be able to close out those tight rounds in the final moments.
Yeah, and we're going to be getting back into the match in just a bit, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate your patience. It will likely be sno's on defense again, Supremacy on attack. It will be the kitchen barbecue, and likely also the same operators that we saw on that previous round. Just a continuation to try and restart just that one round. The score will still, of course, be 4-1 match point in favor of sno's, looking to prep and push us on to a third map of Coastline. If we get there, ah, man, that's going to be such an exciting map. I can't wait, because I want it, because it's 4-1 on this map. It was 5-1 on the last map in favor of the opposite team. So who's going to be more proficient at Coastline? Only time will tell.
And it's not even like these teams have been like, they're so even. They're so even. You have no idea. It's like Supremacy dominated Border.
Yeah, but it was still close.
And then sno0ken dominated
Skyscraper, but it's still close. So yeah, like, every time.
Who's gonna pull it up on Coastline? Because it's so nice to see like a complete mirror image where it's just complete opposite. It's domination from one team in terms of round, maybe not actually in terms of frags and capabilities, and then the complete same thing on another map. And this tiebreaker on Coastline, not only is the map a wild card in and of itself, but these teams and the outcomes so far have largely been up to chance. And now we're going to be treated with a very exciting contest. So I'm shocked. I want to see it really badly, but let's talk about momentum for a second here. And Supremacy had finally gotten their footing, and then
it's weird for me to say. It's weird for me to say because, to be honest, it's a big open discussion, momentum.
Right.
But in this instance, I don't think momentum's playing much of a part. I honestly don't think momentum's playing much of a part. I don't think Supremacy had their footing on that round. I think that if that round had played out as it was looking right there, Supremacy probably would have lost. They were attacking into the kitchen, and they had a way to deal with Lackey inside of kitchen, but 50 seconds left? That's not enough time. That is the same exact thing they've done every single round. Not the attack itself, but the attack overall in terms of how much time do we have left to plant the diffuser? 50 seconds? It's just not enough.
Right.
They hadn't cleared out any roamers. They hadn't established any amount of control other to start and poise themselves to get that control in the bomb site. There wasn't really an air of control in favor of Supremacy. They were going to get rid of Lackey. He was going to die. Then they were going to start pushing into the kitchen. They likely would have lost a couple people to hold upstairs. In general, it just wasn't looking very good. But, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to throw to a quick break as we make sure that everyone is on the same page here so we all know what's going on. It'll be about 3 minutes, and we'll see you guys shortly. Or we might. We'll see exactly what happens in just a moment. But, yeah, no, it is going to be an interesting match for sno0ken leading forward here. They had the control. Supremacy were prepped to... Okay, we are going to throw to a break. Thank you so much for waiting, guys. We'll see you in a bit.
Welcome back. Thank you so much for your patience. My name is Parker Interrobang Mackay, joined by Michael Kickstar Stockley, and we just took a brief break as there was a rehost. And as you can see behind us, we have Supremacy and sno0ken doing battle. Supremacy took map number 1 on Border by a score of 5-1, and before we tossed to a break, sno0ken was up on Skyscraper 4-1. So we're just waiting for them to come back, and then we'll see what happens. Could we potentially see sno0ken close it out and go straight to Coastline for map number 3? I know you're excited.
Yeah, I think sno0ken is going to lock it up. I think this is, you can tell very clearly that even if Supremacy goes into this next round with renewed confidence and they win it, they have to then win, two more subsequent rounds after that to put it on to 4-4 overtime. It's not likely considering how dominant Supremacy, or sno0ken, excuse me, has been on this map. It's the same thing that we saw on Border. So I think we're going to see that map number 3. Coastline. Ooh, Coastline. It's so great to see all the different teams' variation of strategy on that map. It changes every single time we see it. I want to see if we're going to be seeing the same thing that we've been that has happened a lot of the time, which is you're going to see that master projector as the primary defense, and then that kitchen as the secondary defense. Will they play it from outside kitchen? Will they play it from inside kitchen? Will they play it for will the attack come onto the main lobby stairs for the projector room? Will it come from the drop down and VIP as it usually does?
Right.
What is the variation these teams are going to be showing us? Who is the more practiced on that map? And we'll find out in due course. Now, we're just waiting for everybody to 100% be ready to jump into this map. Now, of course, the discussion was this. Basically, what's happening with the admins and the teams is they need to find out if that last round counted, because there were only about 40 to 30 seconds left when Supremacy were calling for the rehost. So, technically speaking, by some rules, that might be a win by default for sno0ken knows, but it was a pretty blatant problem.
Right.
That we see Supremacy that was dealing with. So it's basically coming down to just a discussion between each of them now. Right now is like, what exactly are we going to do? Are we going to push it to the next map, or are we going to let Supremacy play that round out as they should have been able to because of the invisible wall?
The admins have to weigh in on that, and until then it's just wild speculation. But we've seen from these teams, Supremacy was not a quick starter on Skyscraper. It took them about 3-4 rounds before they finally started to add frags to their totals. The first couple rounds were very firmly decided in sno0ken knows' part. And like we said, Coastline is a wild card. But we've also seen almost every single site on Coastline be viable to a certain extent because of the way that certain teams play. Let's defer back to Penta, and they were able to defend almost every single site on Coastline when they played 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I remember it was really interesting because it was like we were playing musical chairs.
Yes.
And it's like, are we going to see them go to the double bar? No, they go all the way over to master projector. Are we going to see them go into kitchen? What's going on exactly? So I just got the heads up from the admins. It looks like we are actually going to be having a 1-1. So Supremacy confronted with that issue. Unfortunately, it was just too late in the round, and to be honest, it kind of looked like sno0ken knows we're about to lock it out regardless of the problem.
Right.
And we are going to be moving on to that third map of Coastline as a result. It's unfortunate that Supremacy won't be given that chance, but it kind of looked like sno0ken knows would have locked it out again, regardless.
Right. And we'll have a final word from the admin in just a moment, but right now it does look like Coastline. And the sort of thing is it's like, of course there's some frustrations when bugs and that sort of thing happens, but when it happens, rules are rules. And when it happens towards the end of a round, especially in like the final push of action, I think that the rule book is insufficient. It needs to be an admin decision, and that's what we're waiting on right now to a certain extent because of the circumstances. And it would have been nice to always, of course, see a comeback. But with the way these teams have been playing,
to be honest, I feel for Supremacy because it sucks, right? It sucks. But they put themselves in that position. They've been like leaving it to the last 40 seconds of every single round. On Border and Skyscraper alike, they clear super methodically. Super slow, very smart. I love it. On Border, it worked great for them. On Skyscraper, it hasn't been so much. Each of these rounds that on defense that sno0ken has been winning has been because it comes down to the time running out. And unfortunately, they put themselves in that position on this round and got stuck a little bit, but towards the end of the round, whatever. We talked about it enough. Let's take a look at the highlights from that map, see what actually caused that to be the end of things. Now, okay, of course, you can see here that Supremacy neglecting to cover Barbecue. That was that first round where sno0ken knows put themselves in a great spot to win the map as a whole, getting back their quote-unquote momentum.
And there we go. This is a cleanup and a frenzy of kills. And because this is happening in a time when you're in your final last push, we saw a lot of the kills would stack up. Lots of trades, lots of refrags and that sort of thing. And it's when you condense all that action, it's nice to just see absolute carnage take place between the two. And you saw it in the highlights as well.
Yeah, and again, on that note, it's just a lot of the round is coming down to the last 30 seconds for both of these teams. So I want to know if that's going to happen on Coastline.
Right.
Who is going to be the practice team on Coastline is the huge question in the air right now because of that, obviously, that emphasis on practice and map preference overall for the last two maps. But as we wait for these two teams to get ready and launch us into Coastline, which bomb site will be defended? Big question.
The operator choices, too, are going to be something to look out for. We've seen some Twitch play, but not a lot. We've seen Valkyrie in almost every single round so far. We've seen next to no Ying play whatsoever. We've seen no Jackal at all.
Are you surprised by that, the lack of Ying play? Because I am taken a little bit aback, but at the same time, the way that these teams have been playing, it seems like it's not really their emphasis. They want to go for those frags. They don't want to add disruption. I mean, the one time we saw smoke play was on Border from Supremacy, taking into the A wall, and it was so perfect. You have to wonder if they had Candelas alongside that, or maybe even more smokes would have been better.
A lot of Ying play on Border makes sense, but at the same time, I don't know how useful we've seen Ying really be on Skyscraper. All the Skyscraper matches that we've seen up have almost always exclusively excluded Ying because you have operators that are more important. Thatcher is almost 100% necessary. We've seen a lot of Hibana and a lot of Thermite. We've seen some Ash play. Buck is almost a go-to as well. And we've seen a lot of IQ, especially from sno0ken rather, in place of, I think, that would fill the role of Jackal or Twitch. Or Ying.
Distinct lack of Jackal as well as of the later ends of this season. He was very prominent in the previous season and even in the early stages of this one, but I think Ying has pretty much, for most regions, taken up the spot of Jackal in the attacker lineup. And that, obviously he's a kind of a niche pick. You only bring him when you really need him. But that stands to reason. If we're going to push one person out for another, and it's going to be, again, a niche where when it comes to, like, Ying isn't always picked, she's not entirely necessary, it's going to be Jackal.
And we've seen a lot of Glaz, especially from Supremacy, too. That's one thing, too. Supremacy's been running Glaz almost every single round on attack, giving you those smokes and giving you that ability to open up those long sight lines. And I like that a Jackal hasn't come out yet because to me, it would be almost a waste given the fact that sno0ken knows his roam play for Supremacy, at least, is not really something that is causing them a lot of problems, and we've seen how well they drone. You don't really need that, but could sno0ken knows potentially benefit from having a Jackal, given that Supremacy has been causing them some issues?
I think sno0ken knows would be better off with a Jackal, or anyone with smokes for that matter. Ying, Jackal, whatever. Disruption, I think, is sno0ken knows' game when they're going into attack on this next map, especially. The only time we saw disruption, though, so far in this setup was from Supremacy. Now, the question is, why did they bring that disruption when they have so clearly been proficient at winning their engagements? The answer is because the one time they did use smokes and flashes to push into the A bomb site on Border, they were also simultaneously pushing in through B in offices and the main hallway. So they were putting a little bit of a pinch onto the defenders from every different angle. And I love that they kind of they put up their wall on attack and then hammered on the other side to cut the rotation down the middle for sno0ken. That was really well coordinated. I want to know if we're going to see more of that on this map as well, on this leading into the next map. I'm surprised we didn't see it on Skyscraper. There were a lot of instances in which I feel like disruption would have been to their benefit, but they just simply didn't bring it. Like, for example, the way that sno0ken knows was holding the bottom bomb site. They were opening up the walls, but they weren't putting anyone in a position to necessarily play aggressively into barbecue. So if they had gotten a smoke towards the main bar wall and then the kitchen wall of the of barbecue, there would have been any pressure from above, and likely the C4s would have missed due to lack of information. But we didn't see that. We saw a lot of focus put onto the kitchen, unfortunately, and not enough roam clear for Supremacy.
Now, in regards to Coastline, out of the maps that we've played between Border and Skyscraper, I would wager that Coastline shares more similarities with Skyscraper, especially when you're defending the kitchen style, than it would Border. In that case, what are the main differences here between the two matchups, of the two maps, rather, and whose strategy so far do you think is going to translate better to Coastline? Do you think it's, if you're more prepared on Border, it's going to do better on Coastline, or if you're more prepared on Skyscraper, do you think, if that's a comparison that you are comfortable making?
I would say that the preference is going to go to the teams that are more prepared on the off maps, and the off maps being, of course, Skyscraper and Coastline, the less in the meta. Border is a map that most teams should be every team should be comfortable with at this point. It is arguably the most played map overall for each region for the last couple seasons.
Absolutely.
It and Oregon. Oregon has been, but Oregon's a rotation. Border's been there for a while now. The first season it came out, people weren't really vibing with it, but leading off into that, like year 1, season 3, after around the Invitational, and then after the Invitational, it's been Border, Border, Border. People like Border. They're comfortable on it. It's a well-balanced map.
It's a great map.
It's honestly, it's the go-to map for Rainbow Six Siege. And every team should be comfortable there. The fact that sno0ken had such a struggle on border is really telling of Supremacy's proficiency on that map. I honestly wouldn't take them to. I wouldn't take Supremacy to border no matter who you are. They seem really to like it a lot. But on Skyscraper, sno0ken's putting themselves in a better spot was just because they were more practiced on the off map, ready to deliver there. Now, moving on to Coastline, I think that it is going to favor sno0ken because they probably put in more work there. But it's, again, a big question because Supremacy did let Coastline in through the ban phase. Both teams did. So there's probably going to be some good headbutting. I think we might actually see for the first time in this matchup somebody get more than one round when they lose. I think we might see finally in overtime.
And it's incredible because we are tied up right now in terms of wins, and as we head to Coastline for map number 3, we are tied up in terms of that both teams have won 6 rounds, and it is 1-1 as map number 3 is underway. Coastline, you have Supremacy versus sno0ken knows, and sno0ken knows will go to defense first and foremost, and Elysian. And we were already talking about how exciting it's going to be. They'll go Blue Bar and Sunrise Bar, which we saw Penta try as well, and didn't have such success on, and then they ended up going up into the comfort of upstairs. And having Elysian as well, immediately right off the bat, we see sno0ken knows playing in a method that is not their style, especially with Elysian, and we'll see how much Meepy tends to play with an operator who hasn't seen a lot of play this season.
So 2 things to emphasize here with that operator section like we were talking about. There's the Elysian, and then there's the Castle. For sno0ken knows, those are 2 specific picks used to fulfill a specific role that they have ideas on for this specific bomb site. So that is telling of practice on this map, and that means that they're likely going to be putting forth some excellent play here. And hopefully, Supremacy can reciprocate that and give them an equal amount of strategy that we're already seeing from sno0ken knows' setup here. Interestingly, they are going to be reinforcing the east wall to the A bomb site. They are opening seemingly a rotation hole. No, just a murder. So this is a bit of a half and half going on from sno0ken knows. Usually what we'll see on A bomb side of this bar is either they will reinforce that east wall and play inside of A, or they will leave it unreinforced and open it up entirely so they can play A from all the way over by main lobby. They're doing a bit of a 50-50. Gotta wonder how that's gonna work out. Oh, it's because of this mirror window from sno0ken inside of the hallway. This is great. Now the problem is that mirror window relies on control of the main lobby, which has been covered by a castle barricade. Love this setup from sno0ken. Still have to worry about the garden, though. Anyone can come from garden, vault in, and take out 2 sno0ken's players. That's going to be a big point of focus, of course, for Supremacy if they can manage to read this hold.
Bibu repelling upstairs, sparking them, all looking on to take control, at least, of above. And Zephyr deep inside of spawn, just, I guess, surveying the windows to make sure that there's nobody roaming upstairs. Now, you can see that a lot of the actual play of sno0ken knows at the moment is primarily composed downstairs. So once again, not going for what they did on border by playing above. You can see that they'll not just play an anchor and a site play, but this aggressive off-site as well, almost goading Supremacy into push. And now I think we're starting to see exactly what their strategy is on site.
So Meepy, the reason he's playing Elysian is he has to hold up 2 windows and a door by himself. You can see here he's got that support from sno0ken, of course, with the mirror window, but the Elysian traps are going to aid him quite a lot in actually holding these positions solo. Normally you'd have someone like with it, maybe an Ella would be the optimal person to play this position, but you need Ella to be able to roam inside of kitchen. As you can see, they put a lot of emphasis on that kitchen hold. So I like the Elysian pick here. You have to wonder if it's actually going to be amazingly useful, though, as Supremacy don't seem to want to push in through those main lanes. They're not useful as a form of dissuasion because the attackers usually can't even see those traps, but they're only useful if the push actually comes into them. Zephyr going to take out sno0ken. Nice shot there through the smoke. Obviously, sno0ken knows not expecting a glass to be played here, so when they saw the smoke, they weren't necessarily like, oh, we can't peek that. And as a result, we'll lose one of their main anchor players early on, which means Lackey has to take up the role. And
he does so, and it was a nice read by the Glaz there. I don't know why they wouldn't expect a Glaz. I mean, this map, not really a Glaz style of map necessarily as much as we would see on others, but Zephyr has been favoring the Russian sniper almost all day. So it astounds me that they wouldn't be able to. And we get towards the end of round number 1, and a bit of hesitation from Supremacy is now translating directly into their push. They will head to those cool vibe stairs, and some final drone work being done. A juggle of the diffuser, and it looks like it will be an A push. There is some toxic gas preventing them from getting in through that hole. And this is an opportunity where a thermite would have even been more useful. As Ellem's now coming in, getting that diffuse off, and Meepy is able to pick up the glass frag, so that is a 4v4, and that diffuser goes down. Lackey gets a frag onto Bibu, and sno0ken knows in good position, but now they're going to have to contend with the attackers running outside to watch the main points of entry. Secretly goes up, a great shot from Spark through that open hole, and Secretly just completely oblivious. And now you see Ellem's get a kill on Renewals, Lackey a refrag, and it's a 2v2 with just about half of the diffuser left. Lackey gets a kill on Ellem's, and Raphael will get a refrag. And now you can see Lackey is the last one left. Raphael will jump outside. Lackey gets Raphael, goes back in, and Spark from above drops a grenade. He's going to have to work away at that diffuser. Lackey will get a couple shots, and time is just going to run out. And that's it. Supremacy using that entire diffuser time to get round number 1.
They didn't just use that entire diffuser time, they used almost the entire round, only about 20 seconds when they got that diffuse plant. This is a reoccurring theme with Supremacy, and it's counter to what I think I'm used to seeing from them, is they have been completely stalling out every one of their attack rounds, bringing it to the last leg every single time. And I like it. It's weird to say I like it, though, because it's usually counter to what you want to see on these, in this game in general. You usually want to see much more aggressive, concise play on attack. You need to have the round timer in the last legs of the round, so you can actually safely plant that diffuser without forcing anything. But the calm, calculated play from Supremacy isn't really telling of them being uncertain of where they want to push. It's not telling of them being uncoordinated. It's more deliberate than that, and I think it's been working all right for them so far. It's going to be interesting to see how it continues to play out, because you have to argue, of course, that in that last round, the reason they were able to win it is simply due to an oversight from sno0ken knows. Unfortunately, not having anyone in position in the main garden to actually use those murder holes that they opened up previously in the round to deny the defuse plant. And if there had been someone there was nothing that Supremacy would have been in a position to stop sno0ken knows from locking at that round.
I'm very confused as to how the toxic gases did not repel Supremacy from pushing in, because they had that small Hibana hole to be able to push in into Blue Bar. All right, it's a small hole, but they're still able to crouch walk their way in. It looked like Secretly had been able to get those toxic babes right into the perfect spot, but then Hibana just waltzed right in, took 0 damage, and got the plant off. And I don't understand how they didn't take even a single tick of damage.
Nice Ash charge there underneath the Ela. We've been seeing this from both teams, actually. Fortunately, not going to do enough damage to down Spark. I don't think it can. But doing actually max damage, which is about 75, I believe, from that Ash charge, or 90, what have you. Meanwhile, Secretly going to get a kill onto Zephyr. Upstairs, that's the co-roamer for Spark, eliminated. And now, one shot, Spark is going to be the only one with any amount of control on the top floor. sno is looking to collapse on him as well. They will drone him out. sno0ken with some good teamwork there with his teammate will allow Meepy to get the last little bit of damage onto Spark, finishing out that roam clear with very efficiently. 140 still on the clock. Plenty of time for sno's to position their attack here on this double bar hold. Wow, more decent dronage, going to allow them to open up that mirror window that holds the main A bomb site. And now there's layers and layers of defense being peeled away for Supremacy. sno0ken looking to push in together from every angle.
sno0ken knows with just over 75 seconds. Round number 2. Secretly right now upstairs doing some significant remodeling in the Hookah Lounge, and I don't know how he doesn't have sights on Ellem's at all.
It's unfortunate.
LMZ, and he gets a couple shots off, takes some damage from Buck, and still on the move. Renewals takes down Raphael, and that is 5v2 as you see on your screen. Supremacy after a good first round, now in bouts of trouble. A good frag there from the IQ of Bibu, or sorry, the IQ of Renewals will take down LMZ and leave just Bibu. who manages to get a kill on the Secretly. And now he has a tall task of getting a clutch ace, or else sno0ken will equalize and tie this round up. He'll get a second, though, and Bibu, of course, a 4K in the previous map. Diffuser goes down, and his job of clutching this out just got a lot more difficult. It looked like he saw Meepy through the floor there for a second. And they do spot one another. Around, of course, the corpse of Jaeger strewn about on the floor. Bibu gonna get Meepy too, so that's a third. He only has 2 more to go for the clutch ace. sno0ken around the corner, and he's not gonna see him. Bibu with his back to sno0ken. Ooh, that bearing 9 rips through him, and sno0ken knows. Cuts Bibu's killing spree short at 3 to equalize at 1.
Nice job there from sno0ken. Pretty much attribute that entirely to the clear of the top floor being so succinct, not wasting nearly as much time as we've seen, unfortunately, Supremacy be doing in these rounds. It's a lot more risky the way that sno0ken has been playing as opposed to Supremacy. But the coordination is still present and apparent, and it's been working, and it's been doing a good job for them so far. Overall, these teams, of course, have been favoring themselves on attack as a result. They have their own unique way of playing, and I'd say the complete freaking opposites. But it's really interesting to see those opposites collide, and I wonder who's going to be able to eventually start the momentum and finish this out. And I'm guessing what we're going to see as soon as one of these teams starts to get like more than 1 round in a row, we're going to see that just cascade into a complete win.
Right, first round, you saw that Supremacy was able to do a tremendous job. They got the defuse down as a 4v2. That's an almost insurmountable task for sno0ken at that point. Now you see sno0ken repays the favor. They are up in a 5v1 with that diffuser down, leaving Bibu to try to ace clutch the round. Both of these teams, when they're on, they're on. It just appears to be the defining feature of both of them. And I agree with you. Eventually, one of them is probably going to figure it out, and that's going to be it for the game, and we'll just see it, as you said, cascade from there.
See if we have any variation on this setup from sno0ken. I'm curious to see exactly what the policy is going to be here. Now, the one thing, of course, we're not going to see happen is sno0ken's not going to die to Glaz peeking the doorway into the bomb site. He's not going to peek that again. So, because he's left to stay alive there, his C4 will still be in hand. The last time Supremacy pushed in, they came from the south lobby. And they started to push into the actual bomb site of A, and they planted over the A bomb site bar. If there had been a sno0ken with the C4 in the hallway, that would have been prevented, and that's likely going to happen this round if the same push comes out from Supremacy, unless they can still manage to get sno0ken. The question is how? How exactly do you deal with him in that spot? Because I believe the floor above him is hard. You cannot break it, which means the vertical control is not a factor in this instance. And the only other way to kill him is to come from the main lobby, which is castle barricaded, and more importantly, defended from the kitchen and the bathroom. And he's looking for the angle again. He wants to get that shot, but it's unlikely to happen, as of course, sno0ken's got to be kicking himself after dying there last time.
Yeah, and it's the exact same play from Zephyr. Paid dividends in round number 1. Round number 3, unlikely to make that mistake, and now it will be a standstill. And of course, getting sno0ken was also important for them to be able to take control of not just that mirror window, but also the entire hallway. Prompted Lackey to have to rotate, and by doing so, they took somebody off of bar/the kitchen where Lackey was playing. And now we're going to see the grenades. Good utility with the grenades, of course, with IQ and with Buck.
Yeah, unfortunately, that grenade got caught in the fern that it was thrown at and didn't end up doing much of anything. But it's good to have those options. Having 4 means that 1 grenade not being amazingly useful doesn't really mean that much. You can see that Spark's opening up a lot of the common positions that his own team plays. At first burst, of course, you're going to be getting the people who would have been playing in that little wall, or behind that little hard wall with the couch, but there's nobody playing there from sno0ken.
And assuming that Meepy was underneath it, we still have all 10 operators, 45 seconds, round number 3, tie game at the moment. They'll open up that wall and now start pressure. It'll be very similar. Bibu is going to get a kill onto Lackey. That's good for the attackers. It will give some favor in place of Supremacy. They don't miss their smoke this time. Last time, Secretly seemed to undertoss it. This time, right on the money, and will exclude him from being able to make that stroll through the Hibana hole. But Supremacy at the moment stalling out, but Bibu doing his best to try and alleviate the pressure from sno0ken. He gets renewal. Secretly a refrag onto Spark as the smoke moves upstairs, and now Meepy is going to put it at a 3v3, and what a good shot from sno0ken to repay the favor on Zephyr as Bibu gets his 3rd kill onto Secretly. He has every kill for his team on this round, and he is going to be the man to watch. But they are running out of time as the final 5 seconds come, and Bibu going to have to hot drop, hits that goo, and the defenders just hold on. As sno0ken wins a war of attrition and goes up 2-1.
So that round, the same exact attack coming from Supremacy. Difference being that they did not get sno0ken off the mirror window. They did not have that early man advantage. They could not push as easily into the southmost lobby. And when they got the wall open, there was more in place from sno0ken to stop that exact push. They were so ready for it. Not losing any of their utility early on meant it was an extremely easy hold overall. The collapse came into the A-bomb site when the push came from Supremacy, and it was basically a clear-cut image to me. Unfortunately, we aren't seeing much capitalization on the early stages of the round from Supremacy again. And you could tell that sno0ken coming off of Border, have read and understood that, oh wow, Supremacy is taking extremely slow. Super, super slow. And if we play passively, well, it's really easy to hold. I mean, it's very clear that sno0ken is read into that. They're like, oh, if we just wait, then we won't lose anyone, and the round will be a real easy round if we just collapse as the push comes.
Right, and topping the scoreboard in the previous match in Skyscraper, and now as well on Coastline, you can see right there on your screen, Bibu in 8 kills on Skyscraper, has 6 kills on Coastline.
What's up, Bibu?
Almost inarguably the reason why this team is succeeding so well and why they were so competitive, or as competitive as they were rather, on Skyscraper, because ultimately it wasn't that competitive of a match, but the only reason why they were even slightly in the game. And you've seen him be able to get 4 kills in one round, 3 kills in the other. It's been tremendous so far.
See, the problem is I'm talking about Supremacy being way too slow in their takes, and it's cool. I like the idea. The reason Bibu's getting so many frags is he's the only player on his team capable of getting so aggressive and actually winning those fights when he's doing that. Every single time we see Bibu getting kills, it's because he's just going balls to the wall. And he's doing so well at exactly that, because sno0ken is not expecting that aggression because Supremacy has been so passive. We need more people from Supremacy to step up and fill that role. But leading to this round, we are seeing for the first time, of course, a master projector defense. This time from Supremacy, they're going to be the first to make that deviation. And they are going to be also roaming pretty hard. This roam on the blue stairs, the Jaeger, going to be looking to be capitalized on by sno0ken. The way that sno0ken has been playing is they prioritize clearing out the roamers first, and they get very aggressive with it. So you can see here, they're already making this push into the building, looking for those roamers.
And they've managed to pinpoint a lot of where they are, but sno0ken not excelling as much. What a shot from Secretly as Spark falls face first to the ground. And that buck, oh
beautiful
my,
play.
What a nice shot, and giving us a front row seat as well. Raphael takes some damage, but of course with that stim pistol, able to get back up as Secretly gets his second frag. And from below, the dog of Raphael taken out as Secretly grabs a third kill on round number 4.
Oh man.
sno0ken finding the fire that helped them persevere through Skyscraper as we approach the final minute. An echo from LMs is not a surprise given this site. We do see a lot of echo play here, and that Yokai can be pivotal to dissuading and stopping the attackers from pushing in.
The thing is, though, it's a 5v2, and even if you can stop the oh no, is he gonna get a 4th? Oh no! A perfect nade will down Bibu, but he's unaware. Secretly is unaware of the down, and he will get it through the floor. That's 4 kills now on the board for Secretly. If he gets the Lems, it'll be an ace. But will he, as the rest of his team starts to collapse on a Lems, who peeks out in the hallway, gets the headshot onto Lackey, looking now to hold out against 4 different attackers by himself. We'll see the head of Meepy, unfortunately unable to hit the shot. Switching onto his drone to stop the defuse plant. Secretly coming in with a push. Will he get the ace? No, denied. A Lems with an excellent headshot onto Secretly, now putting into a 1-on-3. 13 seconds ago, he doesn't have the echo. It's been destroyed. The defuse plant will come down. sno0ken knows that they just need to play passively here. Wait out this round. They're not going to take any risks. They have too much respect for Lems getting those 2 frags earlier. Lems peeking slowly, sees where sno0ken's playing in the trophy hallway. Gonna prone around, and unfortunately not enough HP on a Lems. The peek from sno0ken will lock things out. And sno0ken putting it on a 3-1 lead. Excellent round there. And obviously, pretty much Secretly. I mean, hey, look, they're Secretly getting a 4K. He did every single job that was necessary. I mean, okay, so what happened there? Why did Secretly open themselves up to that 4K? Well, it was great drone coordination from sno0ken as a team. They found every single position of the roamers and the anchors for Supremacy before they even started to push. So, Secretly found the Ella playing on top of the drop-down with drones, using his teammates droning, and then opened up the drop-down, got the kill. Then what was the second kill? It was onto the roaming Jaeger inside of bar. And that was due to his teammates droning for that roamer, finding the Jaeger, and then he just came around the corner, pre-fired. The third kill, the Doc from below. He simply shot up through the floor as Doc held in a corner that he couldn't get himself out of. The fourth kill was just a perfectly timed and position made on a very common position inside of Projector, a standard anchor position. So just great information gathering and capitalization from Secretly, allowing them to get that round.
Yeah, and I mean, it's Buck doing Buck things, exactly what you need to use when you have that skeleton key to be able to burst through the floor and try to force the defenders to have to move. A lot of times you'll see some coordination where Buck might not be the one to get the frag, but by breaking the floor open, you flush out those roamers, you flush out the anchors, and then the rest of the attackers are in perfect place to net them. In this case, like you said, Secretly did it all. Not only did he make the move, but he also capitalized on it, and I think that's why we see Buck injected so heavily into the meta at the moment. And yes,
especially in EU.
Especially in EU. And it's no surprise here as Spark has now switched off of the Blackbeard and is now playing strongly on the Buck. I don't know if it's because of Secretly strong play, but we've seen some good bucking so far, and I wouldn't be if I can use that as a verb rather.
I think it's applicable in this instance.
I think it can be usable, yeah. Absolutely. And now Supremacy finds themselves in a position where they are down in a hole. They had a good start on their first map, on Border, their choice. We see that sno0ken knows. Very conveniently picked Skyscraper, but I wonder if sno0ken knows actually won that map phase to the point where they said, we are so comfortable on both of these maps. Why don't we hope that we can win on Border and then close it out on Skyscraper? But if we have to fall back on Coastline, we can. And right now, they are in a commanding position and only 2 rounds away from potentially moving themselves to the playoffs.
Master Projector defense now, also going to be the variation for the sno0ken knows, same as it was for Supremacy. Difference being that, of course, there is a sno0ken knows heavy roam game, but not nearly as heavily as Supremacy was. Supremacy only had 2 anchors. In this case, there are 3, I believe, from sno0ken knows, including the Echo. Now, as you can see, this whole defensive setup is the same almost as what we saw from Supremacy, which is hold Projector, use the Echo to hold behind Master Bed. That then lends to them expecting Supremacy to be the same as they have in the past in their notoriously slow attack rounds. And I believe that was some... Oh, wow! I love this from Meepy. Below, shooting out the Habanas as Pulse. That's because they understand that Supremacy is not going to be clearing out those roamers. More importantly, he can even get C4 kills from below. This play from Meepy downstairs is definitely going to be seen later in the Pro League next time we get to Coastline. That is an excellent position to know.
It's the first time I've seen that.
Yeah.
And I know that with Pulse, it's a high-risk, high-reward style play. There are opportunities that you have to get those C4 kills. It's very important that you time it appropriately. We've seen entire teams roll with that Pulse defense and fail to be able to get that C4 due to walls or anything along those lines. You hear a blast from the Yokai as some disorientation goes down, and they've dropped the diffuser as Renewals decides that the Yokai is not enough, gets up and gets the kill himself onto Raphael with 20 seconds to go. 9 still upright at the moment of the 10 operators that started this round. And sno0ken knows is looking to push it on to a match point. Some smoke will obscure the lane for Supremacy, and it looks like Bibu actually might have gotten hit by his own teammate and is now down. And a couple shots through the floor from Meepy as Zephyr gets a kill. Lackey gets one on Spark, and unless they're able to get this defuse off, which they are, but from below, no, Secretly is able to push in, get Zephyr on that diffuser, and we are on match point.
I hate to hammer this more because I feel like I've been talking about it the whole time. But what was that round? It was Supremacy being way too slow. Just unfortunately, the push not happening until 30 seconds. I mean, they got into VIP and they were opening up that VIP wall, and it was great. At 40 seconds, you know, that's a little bit more aggressive than they've been in the past. but they failed to account for Meepy's play downstairs on that pulse, which again is completely unique. I haven't seen, I don't know if you've seen anything like that before, but I've never seen anybody play inside of Kitchen below the VIP and stop the Habanas and the thermite charges with that angle. That was so well coordinated. I love that from sno0ken. But again, it comes down to Supremacy. They need to be able to read that stuff and be able to counter it. Now it's 4-1 match point for sno0ken because, unfortunately, Supremacy's been just too slow on these attacks.
We say slow, but for people that are watching, I don't necessarily even think it's just a matter of being slow. It's an inability.
I don't think it's an inability. I think it's intentional.
I mean, it might be intentional, but they're doing a lot of droning, but then not doing anything with it. And that could be because maybe they are too nervous, or even when they do it, they don't always win their gunfights, which would cause some hesitation as well.
I don't know if it's nervousness. I mean, you saw there in that last round, we were watching Bibu, right? As he tried to cover his team, pushing into the corner of the master bedroom. He's trying to overcompensate a ton for his team's lack of aggression, just going for it. Shift W all the way into the bomb. That's crazy. And I just feel like there's not enough coordination on that level of, hey, let's make the final push. They clear out and force back the roamers, but the thing is, the sno0ken knows roamers are playing so passively. They're just like, oh, you're going to push us back? Well, we're just going to fall back. We're not going to try and fight you. And it seems like if Supremacy doesn't get a man advantage in their attacks early on, clearing out the roamers, they have no real teeth to bear when actually making a site push. And that is unfortunate. Also, they're not really clearing out all of the roamers, too, because, again, we saw that Meepy play the pulse underneath in Kitchen without any pressure applied to him whatsoever.
None whatsoever.
Yeah, not a single thing.
I was surprised that they were using a buck as well, but they were using the buck upstairs. They weren't using the buck like we saw from sno0ken. That was on the bottom floor to apply some pressure. Lackey gets lead-off kill, and there are only 4 members of Supremacy left. And you can see what a drop as Lackey picks up kill number 2 onto Spark, and sno0ken knows only has 3 more to go until they punch their ticket to the playoffs. Can hear those X Kairos going off, and we're speaking of speed. Right now, sno0ken knows much quicker to the draw. You can see Elms is going to creep up. And some drone work being done as Bibu gets spotted by Secretly, and he's going to push, but he doesn't see the mirror. What a shot from Secretly as Elms goes down. And it's just 2 left now, and sno0ken knows is currently batting 1,000 on this round. The Smoke and the Bandit of Raphael and Bibu, both of whom can clutch this out. But they've got adversity in their way. Raphael is going to get the first kill for Supremacy as Lackey falls to that SMG-11. And now the Smoke will do some shots towards Secretly upstairs, but nada. Doesn't secure the kill. And now Supremacy is very far and away removed from sight. Secretly looking through that floor panel. And only a minute left. The Smoke will rotate. There's nothing sitting underneath it, though. And now you see they've pushed the Smoke off site, and he's going to have to try to retake it. Bibu sits just outside as we hit the final 1-minute mark on what was a lot of action, but has slowed considerably. Smoke inches around the door frame. Meepy and sno0ken both in what could be his line of sight. Typing away on his laptop, that diffuser goes down. Bibu runs in, he gets a kill, Secretly picks off Raphael. It's up to the Bandit of Bibu, who has been playing so well, but he gets Meepy down, that's his 2nd kill. He's got his work cut out for him though, pressure from above and along through the kitchen. As they have 20 seconds, Bibu takes Renewals down. Are we going to see a clutch here? What a play so far. Secretly knows that he just needs to run right in, and he's gonna head through blue bar first. He sees Bibu, no, a pre-fire. He's running out of time, and he'll need to grab that diffuser.
5 seconds remaining.
I don't know if he spotted him, but he needs to start. He sees Bibu, what a shot! Secretly, and sno0ken knows, wins it, and goes to the playoffs. What a position for them, and they will play Penta next week or the week after.
An excellent attack round there from sno0ken knows, of course, an almost recovery from Bibu. Just barely inches away, 1 whole second away from locking things out. And I tell you what the difference is between sno0ken's rounds and Supremacy rounds, what led them to win in that instance. After the diffuse planter died in that 4v2, they still had time to recover.
Right.
And they did just that. Despite Bibu's excellent play, because sno0ken is putting so much more effort into their early round on attack, they still have those extra seconds to make the round go in their favor. And that's just the repetition that we saw from Supremacy every single time. Just not enough utilization of their actual every single second. Instead, taking too much time. And an excellent play overall from sno0ken knows as well. So you lock that out on the 2-1 on Coastline.
No, they did a remarkable